There are 5 main types of fault, namely the normal fault, the reversed or thrust fault, the strike-slip fault, and the horsed and graben fault. It becomes 4 because horsed and graben fault are used together. Now, before we start differentiating these types of fault, we are going to identify first the meaning of the terms that will be used in this discussion. First is the footwall, then the second is the hanging wall. Let us take these two models. This is called the footwall. Then this is now called the hanging wall. Now, to differentiate the two, you will notice that in the footwall, the blocks of rock are located below the fault line, while in the hanging wall, the blocks of rock is located above the fault line. You will also notice that in the footwall, it looks like a feet, or it also looks like a slide. While in the hanging wall, you may notice that there is a hanging part here, hence the name hanging wall. Now, let's move on to the fault types. The first fault that we will be tackling today is the normal fault. Now, in the normal fault, you will notice that the footwall goes up while the hanging wall goes down. It usually happens during a divergent plate boundary and also is caused by tensional stress, wherein the plates move farther away from each other. Some of the geologic features that have this kind of fault are the ridges, such as the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. These types of fault form new ocean floor, also rift zones. Now, moving on to the next type. The next type is called the reversed or thrust fault. Well, obviously, it is the reverse of the normal fault, wherein the hanging wall goes up while the footwall goes down. In the reverse or thrust fault, you will notice that it has a tectonic force of a compressional stress, wherein the plates are pushed together. Now, when the plates are pushed together, it forms a convergent type of plate boundary. In the convergent type of plate boundary, the faults or the plates are moving towards each other, ending up looking like this. Some of the geologic features that form in this type of fault are the mountain ranges, volcanoes inland and volcanoes underwater, also trenches and subduction zones. The third is called as the strike-slip fault. Now, in the strike-slip fault, you will notice that it possesses the tectonic force of shear stress. You will notice that the plates are pushed together but in opposite directions, such as like this. It also forms a transformed plate boundary wherein the plates are sliding past each other. Some of the geologic features that we can notice form on this type of fault are the lithovolcanisms, shallow earthquakes, as well as the lateral displacements of the plate, such as the San Andreas fault. Lastly, we have the horsed and graben fault. In the horsed and graben fault, you will notice that it is usually used together. This is what happens during the occurrence of horsed and graben fault. The compressional stress are the two reverse faults that causes the plate to rise. You will notice that this is a reverse fault. The horsed fault produces rising of blocks. One example is the Vosges Mountains in France. While on the other hand, the graben fault are those plates that have subducted. This type of fault occurs during a divergent plate boundary. In the graben fault, tensional stress occurs wherein two normal faults causes the plate to subside. One specific feature that this type of fault possesses is the sinking of blocks. An example is the Great African Rift Valley.